All right, listeners, ready to dive deep into a topic that's honestly pretty fascinating.
Definitely fascinating.
So many of you have written in asking about academic research.
Yeah.
What's it all about? How do you get into it? What's it actually like to be,
Yeah.
on the cutting edge of knowledge,
Mm-hmm.
kind of unlocking the secrets of the universe?
Mm-hmm.
So we thought, hey, let's tackle this head on.
Yeah, let's do it.
And luckily, we've got this incredible guide written by the CEO of academicjobs.com himself to help us out.
A great resource.
It is a great resource. So let's just jump right in. I guess first things first.
Okay.
What exactly an academic researcher?
That's a great question. And, a lot of people think of research and they immediately picture labs experiments.
Like the stereotypical scientist in a lab coat.
Exactly. But academic research is so much broader than that.
Really?
It's like this huge, sprawling tree with branches reaching into every single field of knowledge you can imagine.
Wow. So it's not just beakers and Bunsen burners then.
Not at all. It's about asking those big, fundamental questions, the whys and the hows,
Okay, I like that.
and then meticulously searching for answers using a variety of different methods and approaches.
So give me an example. Like what would someone researching, say, literature actually do?
Well, imagine spending your days poring over ancient manuscripts trying to decipher lost languages,
Whoa.
or analyzing the subtle nuances of a Shakespearean sonnet.
Okay.
Maybe you uncover a hidden meaning in a classic text, or shed new light on the life and work of a forgotten author.
That actually sounds pretty amazing.
It can be very rewarding work.
I bet. So now I'm picturing all these researchers, like you said, not just in labs, but like in dusty libraries and secret archives.
Well, libraries are definitely part of it, but the primary hubs for academic research are actually universities.
That makes sense.
Universities are all about generating new knowledge and training the next generation of experts.
Right. So you're not only, pushing the boundaries of your own field, but also inspiring and mentoring students who might follow in your footsteps.
Yeah, exactly. Passing the torch.
Passing the torch. I like that. And speaking of following in footsteps, our guide lays out a pretty clear path.
Does it?
It does for aspiring researchers, starting with a solid foundation.
You need that foundation.
A bachelor's degree, right?
Absolutely. A bachelor's degree is your ticket to entry.
And I guess those early undergraduate years are all about figuring out what you're passionate about.
Yeah, exploring different subjects, taking a variety of courses, and discovering what truly captivates your mind.
So like a buffet of knowledge.
Exactly. A buffet of knowledge. You got to sample everything before you commit to the main course.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've got your bachelor's degree, you've sampled the buffet.
All right.
What's next?
Well, if you're serious about a career in research, the next step is usually graduate school.
Okay, here we go.
Most universities require at least a master's degree. And for those aiming for the top research positions, a doctorate, also known as a PhD.
PhD, the gold standard.
Yeah, the gold standard.
So grad school sounds intense. What does that actually entail?
Think of it as a deep dive into your chosen field.
Okay.
You'll be immersed in advanced coursework tackling complex research projects.
Oh, wow.
And eventually writing a dissertation, which is like your academic masterpiece.
So it's like writing a book.
Pretty much a book with a lot more footnotes and citations.
A lot more footnotes for sure. And it's not all about the books and papers, right?
Not at all. Practical experience is just as important.
Like an apprenticeship for your brain.
Exactly. You need that hands-on experience.
So I'm guessing grad school provides a lot of those opportunities.
It does research assistant positions, special research-focused courses,
Okay.
even collaborating with professors on their own projects.
So really taking advantage of all those opportunities.
Milk them for all they're worth, build those skills, make those connections.
Make those connections, yes. And I imagine after, powering through grad school, you've got all that research experience under your belt. You've written your dissertation.
Yeah.
What's the typical career path for someone at that stage?
Well, for many aspiring researchers, the dream is to land a faculty position at a university.
Makes sense.
Not only do you get to conduct your own research, but you also have the opportunity to teach mentor students.
Okay.
Contribute to the intellectual life of the university community.
That sounds pretty fulfilling.
It can be very fulfilling.
But I imagine the competition for those positions is fierce.
Oh, yeah, it's a competitive world out there.
So what makes a candidate stand out in that crowded academic arena?
Your resume is your calling card.
Okay.
And it needs to tell a compelling story. It's not just about listing your degrees and publications.
Yet,
It's about highlighting your specific skills, your research experience, the unique contributions you can bring to a university department.
I like that, crafting a narrative.
Exactly, a narrative that showcases not just what you've done, but who you are as a researcher.
And beyond the resume, I'm guessing there are certain core skills that are just essential for success in research.
Absolutely, there are.
So let's dive into those because I think that's where things get really interesting.
Yeah, let's do it. It's not just about being brilliant, or having like a deep understanding of your field.
So spill the beans. What are we talking about here?
Well, first and foremost, you need that burning curiosity, that drive to uncover the unknown.
Okay, curiosity check.
But you also need a healthy dose of analytical thinking and attention to detail.
Oh, so those late nights poring over data, meticulously combing through research papers.
Exactly.
It's all about precision and accuracy.
It is a tiny error, could have a ripple effect, potentially throwing off an entire study.
Right. It's like those detective shows where one overlooked clue can derail the whole investigation.
Exactly. And just like a detective needs to build a case,
Yes.
a researcher needs to be able to communicate their findings clearly and persuasively.
Okay, communication is key.
It is strong writing skills for crafting grant proposals and publishing papers,
Mm-hmm.
but also public speaking skills for presenting at conferences and sharing your work with the world.
So we're talking about a blend of intellectual horsepower, meticulousness, and communication skills.
You got it.
But let's not forget the practical side of things.
Right.
Bulls got to get paid.
Right. They do.
What's the salary situation like for academic researchers?
Well, as we mentioned earlier, the average salary for an academic researcher is around $72,232 per year.
Okay, not too shabby.
Not bad, especially considering the intellectual rewards and the potential to make a real difference.
Right. It's not about chasing riches. It's about pursuing your passion and contributing to something larger than yourself.
Exactly.
But I imagine that average salary can fluctuate quite a bit,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
depending on field of study, even the location.
Absolutely. All those factors come into play.
So like a seasoned computer science researcher at a top-tier university in Silicon Valley.
Could easily earn 6 figures plus.
Wow. Okay. But someone starting out in a humanities field at a smaller regional university.
Might be looking at a more modest income.
Sure. So there's definitely a range.
There-
It's like any career factors like experience, demand, and location all play a role.
Hmm.
But beyond the salary, I'm curious about the actual work environment.
Yeah.
What's it like to be an academic researcher day to day?
Well, it's definitely not your typical 9-to-5 desk job.
Okay, I figured as much.
You might be spending long hours in the lab poring over data or attending conferences and workshops.
I see.
Some researchers even conduct fieldwork, traveling to remote locations to gather data or study a particular phenomenon.
I'm picturing a marine biologist studying coral reefs in the tropics.
Exactly.
Or an anthropologist excavating ancient ruins in the desert.
There you go.
So much variety.
Tons of variety, depending on your area of research.
Okay, so the work environment can be as diverse as the research itself.
Absolutely.
But are there any, common threads?
Well, one thing that's pretty consistent is that academic research is generally a collaborative endeavor.
Oh, interesting. So it's not just about being a lone genius working in isolation.
Not usually.
More like a team sport.
More like a team sport. You'll be working closely with other researchers, sharing ideas, debating theories,
Okay.
and supporting each other through the inevitable challenges.
Right, because research isn't always smooth sailing, is it?
It can be demanding with long hours, tight deadlines, and the constant pressure to secure funding and publish your work.
It's not for the faint of heart.
Definitely not.
But for those who are truly passionate, I imagine those challenges are just part of the adventure.
They are. It's like climbing a mountain.
Oh, I like that analogy.
The journey might be arduous, but the view from the top is breathtaking.
Well said. And speaking of breathtaking views,
Yes.
sometimes the journey itself leads to unexpected discoveries, new paths to explore.
That's the beauty of research. You never know what you might find.
As we're talking, I'm realizing
Mm-hmm.
there's not just one type of academic researcher out there,
That's a great point. It's more like a whole ecosystem
a whole ecosystem.
of different approaches and specializations.
Okay, so help me paint a picture for our listener.
Sure.
Let's say they're intrigued by this research world. What are some of the different flavors they might encounter?
Well, on one end of the spectrum, you have the experimental researcher. They're all about designing and conducting experiments.
Oh,
Whether it's in a lab meticulously controlling variables
right.
or out in the field observing natural phenomena.
Mm-hmm.
They're collecting data analyzing results, drawing conclusions based on empirical evidence.
So the classic scientist in a lab coat may be peering through a microscope or carefully measuring chemicals.
Exactly. But then you have the theoretical researcher.
Okay.
They might spend more time immersed in books, papers, complex data sets,
Okay.
developing new theories, building models, running simulations to test their hypotheses.
So it's like the difference between a biologist studying animal behavior in the rainforest and a physicist working out equations on a chalkboard.
Precisely, both are researchers, but their methods are completely different.
Fascinating. And then are there researchers who specialize in like specific methodologies?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like
Well-
we have qualitative researchers who conduct interviews and analyze narratives,
Okay.
or quantitative researchers who crunch numbers and use statistical analysis to uncover patterns in data.
Wow, so many options.
Yeah,
It's like choosing your own academic adventure.
it really is.
But no matter what path they choose, what are some of those like core qualities that make for a successful researcher?
Well, I'd say intellectual curiosity is paramount. That insatiable desire to understand how things work.
Right, to unravel the mysteries of the universe.
Exactly.
It's that spark that keeps you going even when the research gets tough,
Mm-hmm.
when the experiments don't work out, or the data seems impossible to decipher.
Absolutely. You also need a healthy dose of perseverance.
Perseverance.
Research is rarely a straight line to success. It's often filled with setbacks, unexpected results,
Right.
the need to constantly adapt and refine your approach.
So it's about embracing those challenges, learning from your mistakes, and never giving up on that pursuit of knowledge.
Exactly. And let's not forget the importance of clear and compelling communication.
Ah, yes, communication.
Whether you're writing a grant proposal, presenting your findings at a conference, or publishing your work in a peer-reviewed journal,
Right.
you need to be able to articulate your ideas in a way that engages and informs your audience.
Because research doesn't exist in a vacuum.
Right? It's about sharing your discoveries, contributing to the ongoing dialogue,
Yes.
and inspiring others to join the quest for understanding.
Well said. And speaking of joining the quest, for those listening who are feeling inspired, ready to explore this world of academic research,
Right.
they've got to mention academicjobs.com
Oh, yeah, a fantastic resource.
for finding those research positions that align with your interests.
Whether you're interested in experimental or theoretical research, quantitative or qualitative methodologies,
There's a whole universe of possibilities out there.
there is.
So head over to academicjobs.com
Check it out.
and see what sparks your curiosity.
See what's out there.
And on that note, it's time for us to wrap up this deep dive
It is.
into the fascinating world of academic research. We hope you found it enlightening.
I hope so, too.
Remember, the pursuit of knowledge is a lifelong adventure.
It is.
There's always something new to learn,
Always.
something new to discover.
Keep that curiosity alive.
Keep asking those big questions. Keep exploring the world around you and never lose that sense of wonder.
That's what it's all about.
That makes research such a rewarding and intellectually stimulating pursuit.
Couldn't agree more.
Until next time, keep diving deep.
Keep diving.